A rising political star just watched his career crash and burn, leaving furious donors demanding their millions back.
Yeah, I mean, the collapse happened with just absolute whiplash speed. One day you command massive political influence, and the next, well, you face a total system failure.
Right. We need to give you the exact timeline because it moves incredibly fast. On April 14th, 2026, California Congressman Eric Swalwell resigned from Congress. He also suspended his race for governor. Why? Well, at least 4 women stepped forward. They made severe accusations of sexual assault and rape.
And the legal response hit immediately.
Yeah.
Right now, Manhattan prosecutors, the Los Angeles Sheriff, the Department of Justice, and the House Ethics Committee actively investigate him.
Meanwhile, his campaign faces a massive financial crisis.
Okay.
Over 200 donors demand $1.5 million in refunds. Reports reveal his campaign spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on family childcare, luxury NFL tickets, and a defense attorney.
Now, just a quick heads up for you before we dive into the specifics here. Our sources today, they run the entire political spectrum. We look at local California reporting, federal documents, and some highly critical conservative commentary.
Exactly. And we want to make it explicitly clear that our goal isn't to validate any one political side. We simply report the facts and perspectives exactly as they appear in the source material. We want to give you the complete picture.
Right. Because whether you follow California politics or not, this story reveals exactly how political power, elite money, and the legal system collide.
Okay, let's unpack this. We must start with the spark that lit the fire.
Yeah, the serious accusations that caused his career to instantly evaporate. Like you said, 4 women accuse him of sexual misconduct and rape.
And the details in the reporting, they don't leave much room for ambiguity. A former staffer says Swalwell assaulted her twice when she was too intoxicated to consent. Yeah. And then there is the report from Lonna Drewes. She is a former model. She reported to LA County deputies that Swalwell drugged and raped her at the Montrose Hotel in West Hollywood. This was back in July 2018.
And this specific incident, it shows exactly how campaign finance records intersect with criminal allegations. Investigators don't just rely on witness testimony, they look for a documented footprint.
Right, the money trail.
Exactly. The campaign finance records show Swalwell spent exactly $361 in campaign funds at that exact hotel on that exact day.
So it creates a permanent digital paper trail. For his part, Swalwell completely denies all the claims. He stated publicly that the allegations are, quote, flat false.
But the political impact was immediate anyway. He suspended his campaign for governor on April 12, 2026. 2 days later, he resigned from Congress entirely.
It's like a collapsing house of cards. Once the first allegation surfaced, the entire structure of his political career fell apart overnight. Governor Gavin Newsom even had to set a special election for California's 14th district just to replace him.
What's fascinating here is the sheer speed of his resignation. Typically, politicians try to weather a scandal. They issue vague apologies, they delay, and they wait for the news cycle to move on.
Right, you usually see them cling to office for months. Why did he pull the ripcord in just a few days?
Because he faces a very specific kind of pressure cooker. He doesn't just face a public relations nightmare. He faces multiple simultaneous probes by heavy-hitting agencies.
Yeah, you have the Manhattan DA, the LA County Sheriff, the DOJ, the House Ethics Committee.
Exactly. A politician cannot simply issue a press release and make 4 separate law enforcement and ethics agencies just go away. Each of these agencies demands different documents, different timelines, different witness interviews.
And the moment those subpoenas hit, the campaign machinery just freezes, right?
Yeah. Staffers hire their own lawyers and they just stop talking.
So the legal exposure forces them out much faster than a standard scandal ever could. But here is the critical part. When the campaign machinery freezes, the millions of dollars sitting in the bank account get trapped inside with it.
Which leads directly to the furious donors who want their cash back. They realize their money is locked in a burning building.
And they want a lot of it back. The statistics are wild. Swalwell raised $7.3 million from about 1,700 donors. Now, more than 200 of those donors demand $1.5 million in refunds.
That is a massive chunk of change to pull from an operation that is actively shutting down.
Oh, absolutely. And the reactions from these donors are explosive. Take billionaire Stephen Klubeck. He gave over $1 million. He actually let Swalwell live in his 9,700 square foot Beverly Hills mansion during the campaign.
Wait, really?
Yes. But after the news broke, Klubeck kicked Swalwell out of the mansion. He cursed out the Democratic Party to reporters and declared he is now a libertarian.
Talk about burning the bridge.
Really?
Local California donors built it just as fast right now.
Exactly. Manny Grohl, he gave $35,000, and he said he was disappointed, disgusted, and discouraged. Another major donor, Bill Lyons, who gave almost $45,000, already hired lawyers to force the campaign to return his money.
You know, this mass exodus of donors really highlights a specific narrative pushed by conservative media. Sources like America First News, they zero in on Swalwell's heavy reliance on Hollywood elites.
Yeah, the conservative sources highlight some massive celebrity names. Actor Sean Penn gave $15,000. Robert De Niro gave $10,000. Comedian Kathy Griffin gave $10,000.
Right? And conservative commentators point to this as clear hypocrisy. They argue that wealthy coastal elites frequently lecture the rest of the country on social justice, yet they funded an accused abuser. They use this to argue that elite insiders protect their own until the public cost just becomes too high.
That is definitely the narrative playing out in the media. But putting the politics aside for a second, I want to understand the actual logistics. Political campaigns don't have a customer service desk. How do you even refund $1.5 million when the campaign is essentially dead?
It is a total logistical nightmare. If we look at the official FEC rules, a campaign absolutely can refund money. They must report those refunds on their detailed summary page.
So the legal mechanism exists, but how does a paralyzed staff actually execute it?
Well, right now they don't. The reality on the ground is total chaos. The Swalwell campaign currently holds $4 million in cash, but they also have about $200,000 in debt.
Oh, wow. So they owe money, too.
Yeah. And more importantly, the staffers are completely overwhelmed. They have no authorized procedure to actually issue these refund checks.
It reminds me of unsecured creditors in a bankruptcy. These donors thought they were investing in a political future. The campaign goes belly up, and suddenly they realize they are just people standing in a long line fighting over scraps.
That is the perfect way to look at it. Although some politicians recognize the toxicity of the money and refuse to wait in that line. Like Congressman Adam Gray. He quickly took $6,500 his campaign received from Swalwell's PAC and donated it straight to a local women's group.
He just immediately washed his hands of the cash. But here's where it gets really interesting. Donors are fighting to get their money back, but looking at the financial records, a lot of that cash was spent in highly questionable ways.
Oh, absolutely. The spending habits of this campaign raise massive red flags about how politicians treat donor money.
For example, Swalwell used $40,000 of campaign funds to pay his defense attorney, Sarah Azari.
And the donors certainly noticed that. One donor, Mike Shee, publicly called it unjust.
Let's look at the actual law on this. California law states you can only use campaign funds for legal defense if the issue relates directly to your campaign duties. If you have personal legal issue, you can open a completely separate legal defense fund. But Swalwell didn't do that.
No, he simply used the main campaign account to cover the bills.
Which means regular people who donated $20 for a yard sign actually helped pay the retainer for a high-powered defense lawyer. It's like he treated the campaign account as an unlimited corporate expense card.
Yeah, and the lawyer fees only scratched the surface.
Right. The campaign spent over $122,000, with some sources citing up to $200,000 on childcare. And much of this went directly to his own family members. He paid over $17,000 to his wife's aunt, Susan Reynolds.
And he paid over $5,000 to his own father, Eric Swalwell Sr., for babysitting.
It's unbelievable. And then the luxury expenses pile up on top of that. He spent $22,000 on San Francisco 49ers tickets, luxury steakhouses, and limo services.
Well, you know, we really have to look at the 2022 FEC rulings to understand this. Swalwell spent money this way because he faced these exact types of complaints before, and he won.
Wait, someone formally complained about this spending before?
Yes. Back in 2022, the Federal Election Commission reviewed a massive complaint about Swalwell using campaign funds for personal use, and the FEC dismissed the complaints against him.
How does a federal oversight agency dismiss spending donor money on, like, Uber Eats and Starbucks?
They look for any plausible campaign connection. The FEC allowed the campaign to preload a Starbucks card because he argued it bought coffee for volunteers. They dismissed a $19 Uber Eats charge because he claimed it was an accident on a saved app credit card, and he paid it back out of pocket.
Okay, I can almost understand a $20 Uber Eats mistake. But what about paying your own father thousands of dollars for childcare?
They justify it by not making a decision at all. The FEC dismissed the family child care payments using a legal principle called Heckler versus Chorney.
Heckler versus Chorney. I've heard of that in criminal law. It basically means prosecutorial discretion, right? Like a cop deciding not to write a speeding ticket.
That is exactly what they do. Heckler versus Chorney establishes that a government agency has the absolute right to decide not to enforce a rule.
So the FEC looked at Swalwell paying his dad, decided the rules were too confusing, and just threw their hands up.
Essentially, yes. The FEC commissioners split right down the middle on whether a politician can use campaign funds for childcare while traveling to campaign for other candidates. Because they couldn't reach a majority, they invoked Heckler versus Chorney and dismissed the case.
So, what does this all mean? We watch a rising political star plummet in a matter of days. We see multiple investigations trigger an immediate resignation. We watch donors scramble to claw their money back. And underneath it all, we discover an entire system of campaign finance running on the honor system.
It reveals a regulatory framework that is fundamentally broken. A campaign can legally operate like a personal slush fund until a massive scandal breaks the whole thing open.
Exactly. This deep dive isn't just about one politician's downfall. It highlights the massive gap between what everyday voters think campaign money is used for and the luxury lifestyles it actually pays for.
It forces every donor to question exactly what they are funding when they click that donate button.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. If federal regulators can't even agree on whether it is legal for a politician to pay their own father for babysitting using donor money, what other massive hidden loopholes exist in the billions of dollars flowing through our political system every single election cycle? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.